Azeez Al-Shaair wants to be a villain, and the NFL stays firm to their original suspension. Plus, what exactly are DeMeco Ryans and CJ Stroud at this point in the process? Go inside the locker room.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localize every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top two and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days, opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's the
It is the locker room, number one source for Texans digital content. I am Landry Locker. You can see me on this channel throughout the week. You can hear me as well. Subscribe, like, right along. Subscribe to the new SNL channel. It is pinned at the top. The new SNL channel with myself and Cody Stutes. Same collab, even more content. We're taking it to its own channel. So be sure to get down with that. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. So the Texans are at the top of the news. More of the same a little bit today with the Azeez Al-Shaair news. And now the news came down earlier today that the NFL is going to keep the suspension at 3 games. And we heard from the man himself via Twitter, via Instagram. This is what he said and what he posted. Had some fans excited. I don't feel one way or the other. I think it's interesting. I definitely think there's some, it's a lot of juice. But he says, if you want me to be the villain, I'll be your villain. Middle finger. See you soon. With the Joker emoji. Then he had a picture of himself coming out of the tunnel. He had his cleats. Then he had a picture of the Joker, and then he said, there is a beauty in being rejected, misunderstood, unseen, and unprotected by people. It teaches you to rely on Allah for everything. So there you go. Azeez Al-Shaair is embracing the villain role. I guess that's cool. Whatever works for him, whatever he thinks needs to happen. I know that some fans get excited by it. I don't know what that does for him. I don't know what it does for the team. Maybe the team rallies around it. Maybe it gets him extra excited. I don't know really what to make of that. Is this because he feels like, is he upset? Like what is the state of mind for him when it comes to making this decision? I mean, and I know it's easy to say, well, you know, he's fired up because the NFL did this and the NFL treated him this way. And I don't disagree with that, but like, is this a good headspace for him to be in? He's going to be by himself for a while. He's going to be the team can't contact him. I hopefully he's not on social media too much, because I'm sure he's getting a lot of stuff. When he comes back, he's going to now pretty much have a target on his back to where any little thing, he's not going to get the benefit of the doubt. And you can say, well, he didn't get it there. I don't know what the payoff is for this. So we'll see. I'm not saying what the right or wrong thing is. That's a hell of a thing to embrace. Which maybe he doesn't have a choice. I mean, maybe he doesn't have a choice, but that's the other possibility here. Like, maybe he feels that he's already been labeled that. The NFL said what they said in paragraph 3 of the statement. A lot of fans around the league, right or not, they feel the way that they feel about him. So maybe he just thinks it's the only way to go. And that's all that he can really do. That could be it. I don't know. I don't know. It's hard for me to understand what the payoff is of basically sticking the middle finger up and saying, I'll be back after everything that's gone on. But that's where we're at. It'll be interesting to hear what he's got to say. I mean, I'm definitely going to be there, front and center, trying to hear what he's got to say for himself when he goes out there. It'll be interesting to figure out the mindset. I originally figured that he was going to, perhaps be somewhat apologetic, but somewhat stand his ground when he spoke on this. But there's no telling. And I mean, you sit around for 3 weeks and all this type of stuff goes. I mean, I'm assuming, I don't have the ESPN up. I'm assuming. Let's see. Let's pull up the ESPN NFL. Let's see. Get that out of there. Yeah, so it's a top story. They haven't put like his reaction to it up there quite yet. Although I know BNMA plays the hits, so I know DJ's gonna have that up there. But yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that he didn't get at least one game off, but it just kind of is what it is, and I guess the NFL's made the decision. So there you go. I don't look at him as like some big victim. I just don't. Like I know that there's kind of a rally cry, us against everyone and all that. I don't look at him as like a massive victim. I think that hit warranted the ejection. The suspension, you can make a case it probably should have been lower. I think the reaction wasn't great. But I mean, this isn't like some sort of like unimaginable travesty that's going on. And I mean, I don't think that's how they feel there. I don't think that's how he feels. We've heard what DeMeco said. We've heard what Caserio said. Although I think Casario's main issue was just the statement by the NFL. But I don't know. Maybe this is a good rally cry for him. I don't know. F them all, Patty says. Okay. What's that do for you? I don't know. Maybe that helps. F them all. Who knows? The bye week does not count as a suspension. It's 3 games. If the bye week counted as a suspension, that'd be hilarious. Swarm in the super chat. You ain't never hate. Swarm. Brandon says he already tried to nice apologetic route, but all he got from it was insults and people attacking his faith. So this is the result. Okay. I mean, I guess I would say like the NFL attacking his character matters more. You can go on Twitter and find anything. Like if you want to live, if you want to find anything you want on Twitter, you can go ahead and do that on social media. So I'm not sitting here like condoning that. I don't think that should change. Like, I don't think your approach and then the result should be impacted by what people say on Twitter if you're a professional athlete. I just don't think that should be the case. I think it has as much to do with the NFL's decision as anything. But we'll see. I think I don't know how many of y'all, maybe y'all have because y'all follow the Texans closely. Like, have y'all heard Azeez Al-Shaair talk? Have y'all heard that? He's one of the most insightful players that I've ever covered. Like the dude has a lot of depth. I mean, when he was a kid, his freaking house got burned down and he had to go through that. Like he was homeless with his family. I've never heard a player. I've never heard a coach. I've never heard a teammate like say anything other than like glowing things about him. And when he speaks, people listen. So that's what's interesting to me is I want to hear what he has to say with this. Cause this guy, this is not like some sort of crazy ass meathead, nut job, psycho dude. Like that's not what he is. So when I say I don't know what his headspace is, I'm not saying that like as someone who's saying, man, this guy's got a screw loose or he's loony. I'm just saying that this is a guy who does as much charitable work as anyone on the squad. He's as insightful and like well thought out as anyone on the squad. And now he's supposed to just all of a sudden turn into Joker. That's not what that's not. It just doesn't seem like what he wants to do. So I get like fans are encouraging it, and I get fans kind of, you know, saying like us against the world. I'm just saying is like someone, I'm not going to sit here and act like I know him. I don't know his character. I don't know what he does. I just know how people talk about him, and I know how he sounds. And he just doesn't strike me as a guy that wants to walk around being called Joker and being like some sort of hated villain. So I don't know what this is. Maybe it was an emotional thing. I don't know. But I think when you hear from him, and this is going to get a lot of attention when he speaks. It's going to be a long time now. But outside of like a social media post, I would like to, because I think the apology that you saw was more representative of what I've seen. Maybe there's a change. Maybe there's some sort of like switch flipped or something like that. I'm just saying, as far as the guy that's been there, I don't know that that's really like necessarily something that he wants to really be labeled. I think in a perfect world, he serves his suspension. That's the end of it. John Runyon's fat ass doesn't put out that stupid ass paragraph 3 where he basically acts like a weasel, calling him out, and they just go about their way. I think that's the perfect scenario for Azeez Al-Shaair. I don't think he wants to sit there and be vilified like this. Regardless of what he says, how he wants to embrace it. Maybe he feels he doesn't have a choice. I just don't think that's what he wants. But he's getting gassed up now. Hey, us against everyone and all this. I just don't really. I just don't see that as something that he ideally wants to do. Just don't see it. But that's what he's put out there, and that's how a lot of people are probably looking at him now. So he might not have a choice. It'll be interesting to see how the team rallies around him. But yeah, that's just my whole thing on that. They definitely need a W against the Dolphins. That's it. I mean, what I'm trying to say is I don't think that this is what I don't think that he wants to be this villain. He doesn't come across as like a, hey, I'm embracing being hated type of guy. I think he's rallying around his faith right now because he feels like that's the only thing that he has to go to. But I think people like gassing him up as, you know, hey, yeah, I don't think that's good for him. I don't think that's good for him. And I think once we hear him talk, that's not what he's gonna say. I don't have to pick a side, Big Rod. I don't have to pick a side. Why do I have to pick a side? When I have opinions or something like that, I do. I can understand both points of view. There's no pick a side. I'm not gang for like some sort of mysterious us against the world type of crap. You pick a side. I'm not picking a side. I'm picking the side of the fact that the guy's perhaps reacting emotionally. I understand what the suspension was. There's no problem with understanding all sides of a point of view. I don't need to pick a side. It's not gang in here. There's certain things that there will be gang. It's not gang here. He's got 4 weeks to sit around. He sent out a social media message minutes after the suspension came down. He's going to have a lot of time to think. And I'm not going to sit here and label him as like some sort of embrace the villain type of thing. This is probably the most adverse thing that he's gone through in his professional career. He's been through a lot in his life. I talked about his house burning down when he was young and all the adversity he went through. I don't have to pick a damn side. You pick a side. Get a gang, get a Houston versus everyone shirt. That's not what I'm doing. That's all I'm saying. Pick a side. I ain't got to pick a side. You drawing a line in the sand? Kay, appreciate you. Tony on the soup. You ain't never hate. Swarm. The NFL can do whatever to Azeez, but they will never be able to give the big blonde a first down. My goodness. That is some trash talk right there. Yeah, the Trevor thing was interesting. I saw I think Myrov and what's the dude's name that used to be at SportsCenter? Trey Wingo. Yeah, I saw that Trey Wingo said that, like, you know, oh well, Trevor's going to miss 4 games on IR and Azeez Al-Shaair is going to only miss 3. Come on. Let's be serious. First of all, Trevor Lawrence is getting shut down because his shoulder is jacked up and they have the number 1 pick in the draft right now. If they were in the playoff race, he's not missing 4 games. Let's just be serious about that. It's the same thing the Texans did with Derek Stingley in 2022. So come on, let's be serious about that. Second of all, if someone tackles someone and they tear their ACL, does that mean that the person who tackled them has to sit out for the remainder of the season? Like a whole season until they come back from the injury? Let's quit being stupid. Let's quit being dumb. That makes no sense. They're shutting down Trevor Lawrence because it's the smart thing to do. Maybe not. Mac Jones might be better, honestly. Mac Jones might be better. But that was an absolute joke to say that he should miss as much time as Trevor Lawrence is out. Like, what is that? Like, you can't even really believe that. You have to just be sitting around trying to figure out, man, how can I say something just to try to get in the mix of this, like, popular topic? I don't get that. That doesn't make sense either. There's nothing straddling the fence. I'm not gang, us versus everyone. No, I'm not doing that. I want to see and hear what he actually has to say and how he actually wants himself represented. And I don't think like it's the NFL has something against the Texans. That makes no sense. Why would they care? Like, are they pro Jags? Like, I don't think that is. I actually think that whole bit kind of gets a little bit old. How do you feel about Devin White not getting enough playing time? I think he's playing his way into shape. I think Devin White's going to be a key part down the stretch. I think Devin White's good. He'll be fine. Not trying to slide for Azeez SMH. I don't know what that means, brother. I know you probably think it sounds cool to slide. I don't know what that means. I'm sure it's really cool and I like your Lego, but I don't know what that means. They were a better team last year. Yeah. Hardo Landry. Even before this, I always thought the media has it in for H-Town. Just my 2 cents. Yeah, I don't see the media. I think they had it in for James Harden, and I think rightfully so. He was an unlikable guy. Like, if you weren't cheering for him, I think most people can respect that. I don't know that the media has it out for them though. The Runyon things are crazy too. Strip Club James was the best. Yes, he was very good to those establishments. I think we can all agree with that. Cam says you don't like Azeez embracing it, but what about the team doing it as a whole? No, I definitely think the team should rally around him, and I think he can do whatever he wants. I think Azeez can do whatever he wants. I just don't know. I don't know that that's what he wants to permanently be labeled as the villain. Like when you get some news, like let's just look at this from like a human element. When you get some news, and this is just based on a couple months of hearing what he says by his locker and asking him a couple of questions and stuff, and hearing what his teammates say about him and hearing what DeMeco says about him. I mean, I'm not like some sort of expert. I don't know like his life. I just know how I know how he's portrayed. I know how he represents himself. I know how he carries himself. So all I'm saying is, at the moment right now, Azeez Al-Shaair is getting all kinds of attention that I doubt he wants for the last. How long ago was the game? 3 days ago. So for like the last 80 to 100 hours, whatever the hell it is, he's getting all this attention that he doesn't want. And you heard Caserio talk about it. I asked Nick Caserio about the rules and everything, and he said the worst part is that the team can't talk to the player. And that was one of his things, is that the team can't talk to the player, and he wasn't a fan of that. So Al-Shaair is dealing with all this. He's not able to talk to the team, and he gets this news a day after the NFL put out the statement they put out. He knows that the team has his back, which is good, so he can do whatever he does. But he's just reacting like an hour, minutes after the news comes out. So there's a chance that he sleeps on it. He wakes up tomorrow or over a few weeks, and that's not necessarily what he wants to do. So if he comes back and at his locker and we're at practice and he says, yeah, I want to embrace this villain role, then I'll say, okay. But I don't know. I don't know that's necessarily what he wants. So we'll see how that whole thing goes. I think it'll be interesting. He's embracing it right now. Yeah, that's self-explanatory. Is that going to be the case when the dust kind of settles and he thinks about it and he sleeps on it? I don't know. I mean, it might have just been like an emotional thing. So I don't want to label him as like some sort of like villain. I think it's interesting. Damn, like the juice is interesting. But who knows? We'll figure it out. Houston versus everybody. That seems to be the rally cry. We'll see how that whole thing goes. Brandon's asking a weird question. I don't know what this means. Can skip this if problematic. What's your opinion on guys on 6'10" not standing up for Azeez or the team and siding with QBs and running the major media market lines about Azeez? I don't know what they said. I know that they probably don't all have the same opinion. So I always find that hard to address. Like, I don't know. I swear to God, I don't know what anyone there said about the whole thing. So I have no idea. And I can promise you they don't all have the same opinion. So like, if they're not siding with him, I don't know. So I have no idea, like, specifically what that is. We'll see. Who knows? But that's where we're at with the Azeez stuff. He's embracing the bad guy role at the moment. We'll see how that goes. And it seems like people are pretty fired up about it. And the Texans are getting the most national attention they've gotten in a long time. It's not necessarily the type of national attention you want, but that's where we are. It is a locker room. Be sure to subscribe to SNL. It's pinned at the top. We still do that every morning. But be sure to subscribe to that. And we got you covered. Get your comments in the chat. I want to talk about DeMeco and CJ Stroud and what we think about DeMeco and CJ Stroud now compared to at the start of last season and heading into this season. This was the original thing before the Al-Shaair stuff came down. Brandon, back on the soup. You ain't never hate. Swarm. John Runyon already thinks he's a villain. That's probably what Azeez is talking about. I think he's pissed off at John Runyon, and rightfully so. That was the most Bush League thing that I've seen. Like that commentary from someone that is a suit in the NFL was the bullshit that you see in the world, where you see fake corporate suits pandering because of some stuff that they hear online or stuff that they think makes them look better and makes them look better for themselves. You held down the suspension was there. Everything you said about what happened was fine. Everything you said about what happened after what happened was fine. That crap was unbelievable from a professional organization. That was a joke. That was actually pretty embarrassing. So yeah, I'm sure he is pretty ticked off. I know that's why Caserio was ticked off yesterday. So I get that. That was garbage. That was absolute trash that they did that. National media. Every time I see national media, I know something funny is coming. The things the national media have said, along with the NFL comments about Azeez, are BS. I've seen some national media stand up for him. So this is where I kind of get a little confused. Like, give me names, man. Like, or dog, whatever you are. Like, give me names, like, of people who said it. Because what happens when people want to, like, sit on their soapbox is you say national media, and it's like, well, I saw someone defend him. I saw Tom Brady defend him. He's in the national media. And then I saw other guys criticize him. So give me some specific names. Don't just say the national media. That would be great. Dion on the super chat. Blonde hair, blue eyes, white man versus black Muslim man. The optics were never in favor, and he's only making it worse. My only hope is that the team can rally behind this. I guess I got to hit it. Race car! Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the optics were against him or not. I don't know. I think quarterback, linebacker, you're already fighting kind of an uphill battle, but then you throw in the specific examples. Yeah, not a good thing. But I can see what you're saying, Dion, for sure, and I appreciate you for weighing in. But yeah, race card all the way there. Hey, no problem. There. Okay, Ryan Clark criticized him. Okay, so Ryan Clark, he's a good analyst, right? He's also kind of a phony. Like, if a David Mulugheta client did this, he would defend him. That's why I can't take Ryan Clark serious, because I know what the recipe is. As soon as I saw the way that David Mulugheta handled Tua compared to how he handled, like, the whole Deshaun thing, like, that's all I needed to know about Ryan Clark. Ryan Clark doesn't analyze all players the same. He's a good analyst. Hell, I enjoy him on Monday Countdown. But Ryan Clark doesn't. He's bought and paid for by David Mulugheta, not by actual money, but he doesn't criticize his guys the same. So as soon as that is a thing, I don't take you serious, or I take it with a grain of salt. But I do like his analysis. I just kind of gotta tiptoe around it. It's just the truth. He has him on his podcast. Yeah, my brother David Mulugheta. Every time someone gets a contract, oh, you got the bag. Any hot button topic that Ryan Clark can use to, like, elevate himself, he'll use. But then whenever Deshaun Watson's there, it's like, well, we got to really get both sides. And I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying that's a little different. And then Tua's a fat ass. It's not real, man. It's not real. Stephen A. I don't listen to Stephen A. when it comes to the Texans. I think First Take's gotten better. I enjoyed. I was getting my hair cut and I was watching the back and forth with him heading into the weekend, and I actually kind of enjoyed it. But when it comes to the Texans, I mean, the crap he pulled during the hiring process, I can't take you serious on that. So that, like, what I don't care what Stephen A. says about the Texans. It's just not. It's not there. And I don't know how Stephen A. does what he does. I know people get, like, upset. Dude, could you imagine? Like, it's got to be hard. Like, you're sitting there and you're getting up in the morning, and all of a sudden they're like, all right, we're going to talk about the Browns situation. And you're having to go up there and, like, break down the Browns. Like, whenever a national person talks about the Texans, you don't expect them to know everything about the Texans. You don't expect them to know, like, all the stuff that goes on. That'd be weird. They got to cover all the other squads. But as far as the Texans, yeah, Stephen A., I'm not listening to him. Not interested. Not even a little bit. With the Stephen A stuff. I mean, I feel like basketball people dislike him more than anything. To be honest. Who knows though? Back to the suit. Maxwell, Stephen A, Jeff Saturday. Is Jeff Saturday still on ESPN? I didn't even know that. Huh. I mean, that's their take. I thought it was a dirty hit. I think it's but I think dirty hits are hard to avoid sometimes. Thought it was a bad reaction afterwards. I thought punching Roshan in the face this year was bad. I think it all kind of came back. Doesn't mean he doesn't like respect coaching or the game or anything like that. Like we don't have to get too carried away. Like that's not where I'm trying to go with it. But yeah, that's just kind of the interesting part about it. Thoughts on DeMeco now versus last year? I want to ask you all this question. Let's step away from the Azeez for a second. What do you think about DeMeco Ryans now into year 2? Like, what has changed? And it's fluid. It's not set in stone. There's no absolutes. But what you thought about DeMeco when the Texans first hired him to what you think about him now in year 2 of the bye week. How has that, what is the same, what is different, what is better, and what is worse when it comes to DeMeco? Because for me, it's kind of interesting when it comes to DeMeco. Siraj says he doesn't like the direction the team has gone. Brandon says great DC, but neglects offense. Cam says everyone was calling DeMeco the hire, but he's pulling punches on Bobby before it turned on him. Someone says they're just not having as much fun. Needs to be held accountable for offense. Seems like he cares about the offense less. That's what Voss says. And I thought that was kind of interesting too. Like even with the statement about Al-Shaair, you notice it was all defensive point of view. Like he laid out the defensive point of view, and with the offense, it's like, well, you know, the quarterback doesn't slide right. Which isn't wrong, but it was clearly a defensive mindset, even when he's going up there as the representative of the organization during one of the times where the NFL is probably watching you closer than anything. He goes up there and just goes all meathead defensive guy. Might as well put a dress on him. He didn't say that, but you know what I mean. My thing with DeMeco is actually kind of interesting. So I was a DeMeco or bust guy before he got hired. I like DeMeco Ryans still. I think DeMeco Ryans can figure some stuff out. He's early in the game. There can be some stuff on the other side of the rock that he's going to have to tweak and he's going to have to figure out. But I actually feel better about DeMeco as a defensive guy than I did when they first hired him. And I'll explain this. I thought he was a good defensive guy, but I also thought that the San Francisco 49ers might have just been one of those teams where the defensive coordinator was going to be good no matter what. Like Robert Saleh did a good job, and then DeMeco, and then San Francisco was still in the Super Bowl last year with Steve Wilkes. So, you know, you kind of wondered, like, yes, he's probably a really, really good defensive guy, but how good is DeMeco going to be on defense? And he's been better than you could have thought. Regardless of what the personnel is, he's been better on defense than you could have thought. And this was a defensive coach. And he's still growing. He's not a finished product. But he's an even better defensive mind than I thought he would be. Now, with that said, I thought that being around Shanahan and being around that system would mean that DeMeco Ryans would at least have like a little bit of grasp of the offense, a little bit more than he does right now. And they may come back and flip the switch. But my certain feeling, this is my feeling, I have less confidence in him as an offensive guy than I did when they first hired him. I didn't know it was going to be this hard-headed defense. Like, it's almost like a Rex Ryan vibe sometimes with him. Like a complete neglect, Buddy Ryan type of thing, neglect of the offense. And just so unproportional with the way that it's spoken about, the way that it produces, the way that it looks on the field, to where I feel really good about him in the area that I already felt good about him. And in the area that I kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt about, I'm a little bit more concerned. Again, very early. Coaches can completely revolutionize themselves from year to year, hell, from quarter of the season to quarter of the season. But that's just how I feel about DeMeco Ryans. I think he's even better than I thought defensively. And offensively, I did not anticipate this much neglect, like almost like the meat-headed defensive type of coach feel when it comes to the offense. That's just kind of where I'm at there on that. Now, what about CJ Stroud? Be sure to subscribe to SNL. It's pinned at the top. What about CJ Stroud now versus, let's say, heading into this season? Because heading into the season, there were high hopes. We were talking elite. We were talking all these things. Where are we at on CJ Stroud now versus heading into the season? Here's my thing about CJ Stroud. I haven't completely lost the belief in the possibility that CJ Stroud can be one of those guys where when it matters most, he can just flip the switch and play at a high level. We saw him kind of have some stagnant times at Ohio State. And then when the Georgia game that everyone always talks about, he goes out there and takes care of business, and he looks like just the best player in the country. We've seen that. We've seen like Joe Burrow type of stuff, Joe Burrow tendencies. So we've seen that. I just don't know if CJ Stroud, with the current state of this offense, and there just feels like there's something going on with CJ Stroud where he doesn't completely trust himself behind this offensive line. And it's not that he's gotten worse. It's just that for whatever reason, and I think these could be valid reasons with this offensive line, he doesn't seem to trust himself. So it doesn't feel like there's a CJ saves all butts type of feel to this thing. And that's basically when a quarterback has everything against him, from the game plan to the offensive line. We saw Deshaun do this. I know people don't like to talk about Deshaun. We saw Deshaun do this a lot. We saw CJ do it a little bit last year. Maybe it's rest. Maybe he was just kind of worn down. Maybe it's the bye. But I feel good about CJ Stroud, and I'm not completely dismissing the possibility of CJ Stroud flipping the switch when it matters most. But the overall belief in him having the confidence that I think that he used to have, it seemed to be gone last year. And I mean, when a guy goes to the podium and says, my number one goal is to have fun, I mean, that kind of he's telling you that he wasn't having fun. So I feel good about CJ Stroud, but there's also a little bit of nerves when it comes to CJ Stroud, because I don't know that he has confidence in his surroundings. D. Grant, Landry, didn't you how he... Let's see that again. Didn't
high-grade marijuana called Kush on the streets.
Didn't you how he built the defense in the draft and free agency? They should have worked on the offense also. Are you saying that they focused on the offense? I mean, I guess they thought they had a good offensive line, which we kind of realized they don't. They traded for Diggs. They traded for Mixon. And Tank Dell's been one of the bigger disappointments in the league. Tank Dell right now has less receptions on the season than Stephon Diggs. I think he has less than a handful of catches more than Dalton Schultz. And all I hear about is how terrible Dalton Schultz is. I hear all kinds of talk about, man, Dalton Schultz, he looks washed. He's cooked. Dalton Schultz, this. What about Tank Dell? What does Tank Dell look like this year? I'm sure there's a lot of factors, but Tank Dell's not looking that good right now. They thought he was going to be really good. They thought they were going to have a three-headed monster at wide receiver. They don't. They got Nico Collins and everyone else. And that could be an offensive coordinator thing, but that's kind of where it's at. But to go back to the CJ thing, I still have confidence that he can flip the switch. I just don't feel like he has the joy and the confidence in the squad to be able to do that maybe this year. But I still have very strong confidence in CJ Stroud. Maybe they told him to chill on the hero ball and save it for the playoffs. Hopefully, my friend. That would be great. Brevin Jordan's definitely missed. Kind of happens, though. But we'll see how it goes. Shout out to Azeez Al-Shaair. Shout out to the Fog. Shout out to everyone for coming through. Appreciate you for coming through. Let me know what you think of CJ, what you think of DeMeco, and what you think of Al-Shaair. And always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. I'll talk to you at 9 a.m.
If it's up, then it's up. We number one. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do.